Welcome to our next episode of Visionary New Earth Leaders. I am super thrilled to have an absolute wonderful guest here today, and her name is Tasha Wall, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and what she does and what lights her up in this world. So over to you, Tasha.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Tasha Wall. I'm most known for being a master psychic channel and healer. And I basically take those gifts and I apply them to various different areas of career, sex and soulmates, business and marketing, and then hotness and body. So those are kind of my specialty pillars.
I love how it's so multifaceted, isn't it? Because I couldn't agree more with the psychic abilities. We can apply it everywhere. What I would love for you to share with us, and I think this is so important, especially when we speak to people, sometimes in the beginning of the journey, but also people who are on their journey as well, that maybe that wasn't always the case. You know, where did you start? How did it all start out for you? What's the story?
Oh my God, it's so
How
long.
long have we got? Can you compound it?
Main pillar is body. So I started off having a binge eating disorder, and then that led me into personal training. And then once I started forming this connection to my body, which rooted into men and sex, I think for most of us, it does, our connection with our body. That's what really started to enhance my psychic gifts. And then after body and hotness and weight loss and going through eating disorders, I moved on to business coaching, and then I moved on to men and sex healing. And then I moved on to family and friendships. It's kind of like as my life evolved, so did my psychic gifts. And I just infused all of that.
Oh, I love it. Also, could you tell us, because I think many people listening will say, well, I am psychic. I don't really know how to use it. I knew I was psychic at age 5. When did you feel that you knew that you had these abilities?
So I had my first spiritual awakening when was probably 10 years ago. And I literally just started getting messages out of the blue. And it's crazy because you don't exactly know what's going on when it's happening. Like some people might just feel a nudge or get a sense, or they might hear something. And for me, I started getting messages. But I thought I was God. I was like, oh my God, I'm God. I can talk to God. Like I knew that the messages weren't my thoughts. There's a difference, right? So yes, everyone has the abilities, but not everyone takes them and leverages them, and not everyone practices them. It's kind of like anyone can go to the gym, but not everyone does. It's like that.
Yeah, and at a different level of refinement and commitment, I suppose, because there's more, the more you use your psychic gifts, the better they become, right? So let's just dive into this topic, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm getting intuitive nudges, I'm getting messages, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. I mean, I could answer the question, but I'd like you to answer the question from your perspective. What messages are you getting, and who is it for, and like how do you distinguish it? Because people might say, well, I'm not sure about me, but in your case, what is it?
Yeah, because people don't share the messages because they don't feel confident to, right? They just kind of hear it and then they just tap out of it. And because they haven't practiced in a safe spot, they just don't have the confidence. It's kind of like if you were learning to speak Japanese, but you didn't have the confidence to actually try and go up to someone and start a conversation, you're never going to learn. So on the question of like, what messages am I getting? Like, I already see a vision for you where you sell crystals. Like that's just come through already, just kind of tapping into like different potentials. Like I see you with a crystal.
So that's so interesting. I mean, I have lots of crystals here. I love crystals. Maybe it becomes a part of my office suite.
Yes, full body tingles when you said that. So that's an example of something really beginner that people will have. Okay. So for the people who are listening, let's say you get full body tingles or confirmation. That's a sign of like, okay, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So that's one little way. And what someone can do is actually just start asking their body, oh, body, I noticed you just got tingles. Why? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And then start going deeper. Most people just feel them and then don't do anything about it.
Yeah, because they may not actually be aware. I mean, I get those body tingles, and to be honest, I do follow all of that and take action on all of that, those things in my business as well. And I think we can dive into that as well today. But I suppose I learned to trust it, so I just go and take action on the things that I'm getting. Another thing I would love to talk to you about as well, because I've been watching some of your lives and everything. It is something about describing the energetic work and describing the psychic abilities into tangible results and how to actually apply it. Because as you said, it's a body tingle, or it might be a shiver, or you might get hot. Some people might feel different feelings, right? Is then knowing what's happening, then knowing what to do next, and feel good about that, and then watch the results unfold, right? But I think most people don't take action, right? In my experience.
So just being psychic isn't enough. Just having intention isn't enough.
No.
Just dreaming isn't enough. And what happens is a lot of people don't know how to take their visions and then pull it into their body, into and steps. So it's one thing to have a psychic vision or an idea or a pull, but what happens is a lot of times those ideas, they're not formed yet. They're just ideas. You have to pull the ideas into the real world, and people don't know how to transform it from an idea into a thing. So they just get high on the ideas, and then they launch ideas, but then they don't follow through with the ideas because they don't have the stamina, they don't have the confidence, and they just, the second that the energy comes down, they flop out.
Yeah.
You got to be willing.
There's no real tangible thing there. It's almost like, say, oh, I've got an idea of how to create this amazing online business. Well, without some sort of landing page, some sort of place to land the people on and take them somewhere, it's not a business, right? So
exactly. They go and start marketing from a place of ideas versus reality. So like a cool way to identify if something is actually embodied is when you think of the thing, whether it be the relationship, whether it be the thing you're selling, does it feel like it's in the air around you, outside of you, like psychically, or does it feel inside of you, in your body? If it feels above you, like a lot of times I see ideas as they kind of hover above your head. If it feels up there, or it almost like it's kind of in the air around you, like it's your aura, then it's not a reality yet, like it's not embodied yet, and you have to find a way to actually pull it into your body and connect with it, right? And feel it inside of you. Then you know, like, okay, I'm embodied in it now, I'm a match to it now.
Yeah, wow, that makes so much sense. I mean, I feel most of the things through my body, and if it feels really, I can literally feel it in my stomach, in my gut. I can like it's expanding. Then it's like, wow, I need to go on this. And I think this is what I do. But what I feel, I work with a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, and I have this thing a lot with that. They have everything up here, and there is no like strategy or system or anything to ground the actual idea fully in. I mean, that's what I help them with, but I believe that we need to become fully grounded and embodied, actually also being able to mentor other people to do it, right? And this is what, I mean, I can see how you're doing this through knowing your body as well.
Exactly. And grounding is very much in the hips and the root chakra, which is also where our sex energy is, which is also linked to men and masculine, right? So women who have issues with like structure and action and grounding, there's blocks around safety. Like usually they might be relating the idea of structure and rules and whatnot to like a disciplinary figure in their life or to a man in their life. Essentially, it doesn't feel safe for them to come down into the masculine, which is that grounding energy. So that's where we would have to spiritually, why is that?
And find out exactly. I
Yeah,
love you.
exactly.
Mm,
Sorry, what I was gonna say is it's not just like they don't want to, it's literally their bodies won't.
that makes so much sense. And then as
Mhm.
soon as they start unpicking what is actually feeling like a block in the body, then they're able to take action on that. Literally. Is that
Exactly. A lot of fear of like a waste of time or it's gonna go nowhere.
mm,
Like feminine energy has to be included with masculine energy and that discipline and that fierceness.
mm,
So it can also be all sorts of things, like the last time that they were really disciplined or fierce or like really went for something.
mm,
And this could be something like, okay, this is how tied it is into business.
mm,
So a lot of women have sexual shame around a time where they really went for something, which
mm,
can include a time that they went for a married man, a time that where they went for something that was taboo or maybe not good girl, not clean,
mm,
not pure, bad. And
mm.
if there's guys in there around that, it will make them shame that side of themselves down, that go-getter.
Exactly. And that is kind of, they probably remember it, but they might not link it together. And then they don't really know why it's happening, right?
Yeah.
What I would love to talk to you about as well, because you said how you went from so body based, as in like you've had eating disorders, and then you moved along with the different, like with the body, and then coaching, and then business, and now for those who doesn't know Tasha really well, like your brand is so juicy. Like I find it really so feminine, but so fierce and so out there. What's your message? Like what does it feel like is your message with the world? Because you become your own, it's like brand, your own energy. What is it
Mhm.
you would love to, apart from the things that we discussed, what is it that you would like to really teach women in particular?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And okay. So if I could say like one thing, because obviously we all have lots of things to say.
Yeah.
I have so much to say about this that I'm literally writing a book about it. We all have what I call like our naughty side and our nice side.
Mm,
Okay. And I find that the key to thriving in life is to allow yourself to be both of those and not shame yourself down for the naughty side that likes to break rules or be a bitch or say something salty or just not give a flying fuck about someone's feelings for once. If you're feeling that, you're feeling that. Like let yourself feel that. And then there's the nice girl side. And that's the one who's very kind, very generous, very giving, very welcoming and nurturing. And if we can balance those two pieces, that's when you're the ultimate because both of those pieces have toxic and healthy traits,
yeah.
right? The nice side goes into people pleasing, the naughty side goes into anger, resentment, and bullying oneself as well as other people.
Mm, mm. So both of them, they are polarities, but within them there are also polarities, which is the whole the whole universe works like that, right? So
Yeah.
my understanding of that is that if we deny the 50% that makes us up, we're not full then, we're not whole because we're denying that side, right?
Yeah. And I think like my motto in life is be a bitch faster. That's my literal motto in life. If you have a problem, it's easier to just be a bitch about it right away. Get it
Mm,
out, look bad for a moment, be somebody's villain,
mm.
and then clean it up and move on.
Yeah, no. And I think this is what holds women back, not just in business success, but in relationship to other women, in relationships to themselves, of course, uh, their bodies, everything. I would love to dive in a little bit deeper into the archetypes of women, how maybe this conversation can maybe help some of the women out there that are entrepreneurs or they're on their journey, they're doing that, they say, well, what do you mean with being a bitch? Should I be horrible to people? Like what can we dive deeper into this? Because I think if we can master many of the archetypes, we become really complete. So I'll give
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So I think that step number one is to discover which one you kind of currently are, because most of us started off as one and then went complete opposite to another,
Yeah.
right? And he is identifying where that kind of came from. So I think if I just tell a bit about my story, people will be able to figure it out. So
Sure.
I started ultimate good girl, like so shy, barely talked, just adapt to every boyfriend. Like, I owe this person, like, oh, he took me on a date, I owe him a hand job. He took me for dinner, I owe him a kiss. Like, very much like just shrinking. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
then I reverted all the way over to like the bad girl. So very like stick up for myself all the time. So instead of shrinking, like it's just overly salty. Like
Mm.
very, but here's the thing. We kind of have to do that sometimes.
Mm.
And sometimes, like, if you find yourself in a moment where you're just being a huge bitch, maybe you needed that moment.
Mm. Mm.
Love that fickle.
Mm.
If somebody can't handle your bitch, then they probably don't like you that much.
No, and also we all have moments, right? So it's like
Yes.
it's like we've got to stretch our capacity to who we could be. It doesn't mean we play on those extreme levels all the time, but we need to know how far we can, how much power we have as well, because it's also about some sort of power within us, right? Do you feel that?
Our dads, right? Like whether our dads really treated us like a princess. So then anytime someone doesn't treat us like a princess, then we get all defeated because he's
Mm.
not big. Or whether our dads under nurtured us, which created I want to call it like a hastiness for life, like a thirstiness, a seeking out for success to fill the gaps of what the man didn't give us.
Mm.
I
Mm.
call it S addiction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Replacing needing a man with success addiction.
Mm.
That's the bad girl archetype.
Yeah. And also, what comes to mind now when you're saying that? So, for example, my dad, he was always, it's almost like he always praised me to like, you can do anything, you are capable of everything. I don't know anyone who is like Gennye. Like, he really always like boosted me up in this way. But that was it. There wasn't any, how should I say, like, there was no substance to beyond that. But how do you, why do you think that? Like, do you think I'm intelligent, or do you think what is it, right? So what I felt that created with me was that, yes, I got really great confidence, but also it felt like I had to do it on my own sort of way. So like over masculine. I don't know. What's your take on that? So I felt
Um,
good, but
my take was that it formed an amount of pressure, but the pressure didn't follow through. So you needed
yeah.
not only pressure for like you're amazing, you can do it, but continued pressure and buildups instead of like
Mm,
praise,
yeah.
which realize that okay, when I do achieve this, I get more hugs and kisses and this and that. So a lot of attention was focused on the highs and the highlights, but
Mm,
not attention was focused on like the everyday and building that up,
mm,
which did a like almost like a floundering or what do I do next? How can I get to this? Like I want to make my parents proud, but I don't necessarily know the steps on how.
yeah, exactly. It was less masculine structure beyond or underneath those praise sort of, comments and stuff. And it's only the last few years I've reflected more over that, but it made sense because I was like, well, I had no roadmap. I just knew I can do it. And it's not really
What's
enough. It's all that. So let's go and talk about the masculine archetypes, because I believe as women, we obviously take on board what is, said by our fathers and masculine figures in our lives, husbands, brothers, maybe as well. And then talk a little bit how we can get these really golden nuggets out of learning from where we came from and how we can change that, because it's really, we're here to change it into something positive, right? So,
Okay. So whatever you wish your parents would have given you is usually your exact gift in this world. And they didn't give it to you because you were meant to learn it, because it's your gift. So that's probably why, and again, I'm having full body tingles. Probably the reason why you weren't given that is because you need your message in business. One of them is, it takes more than a pep talk. It takes more than ideas. It takes action, strategy, steps. Because here's my thought is, if you would have been given that as a child, you would have skyrocketed very fast, because you're a doer. You're like, okay, as long as what to do, boom, like show me the manual.
Yeah.
Do you know? But you were meant to design an intuitive way of doing it according to each person's own personal dynamic, household, time, schedule, this and that. And if, this is my psychic download, if let's say your dad would have done that, you would have taken on his gifts in that area and not developed your own.
So it's always meant to be this way. I mean, I do feel that, but yes. And it's totally true. It's like a very sort of refined, intuitive way of helping somebody model their own success. That's psychic intuitive business coaching, right? Because we are so multifaceted. Yeah, I get that. Thank you. I like the download. I like what you're sharing with me. It makes sense.
It's like you help people to not be left hanging. So with your parents, it was kind of like, oh, you can do this, and then they just leave you hanging.
Yeah.
So
okay. Wow.
yeah, so you're very like reverse engineer, right? Okay, yes, you want this. Well, here's how, which allows the brain to be like, oh, okay, maybe I really can do that, which allows them to not give up, because it obviously feels overwhelming when you're like, oh, you can do this amazing thing. And they kind of believe, and they're like, but also like, I don't even know where to start.
And I give them the map. Yeah.
Where to get to the middle, and you literally are able to show them like, here's the map and here's where you are on the map. It's kind of like, you know, birth. And have you ever, like, you know, when you give birth and then your midwife is like, the head's right there, and you're like, oh, the head's there.
I'm doing it. Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you. It really is like that. A lot of people, they do come and say, look, you're the first person who's giving me a roadmap. And I'm spiritual, coaching. I'm like, yes, because there is one, I promise you. And then you can stretch it a little bit on these ways here, but these are the, these are the major points that need to happen.
And you need to brand it. Did you brand it already? You need it to specifically be called something road mapping. You need to infuse it with your soul and call it something road mapping.
Yeah, I might. I was rewriting a landing page today, and actually I put on the exact roadmap.
Oh, is that called?
No. It's a part of, like, I had 3 columns of the exact roadmap, support, and I've just categorized in 3 ways. But the first one was the exact roadmap.
Yes, and shortcuts. Like, you're able to be like, okay, well, actually, so let's say the client comes, and so this is just an example because I'm reading your it factor now. So let's say the client comes, because I see a higher type of client as well. So she knows where she's going. Like, okay, I want to get to here, and this is my plan. And then you look at it and you're like, okay, great plan, but also you could take this road over here, which would be faster and easier. So you refine their maps and you show them things that they didn't see because they need a new set of eyes, right?
Yeah.
You're also orientated, so you're able to see little fine things that not a lot of people could see.
Yeah.
Also see you being very good at, like, you're going to have some really high caliber clients who have to sign contracts and business deals, and you'll go through the contracts and you'll scan them and you'll find little things of like, oh, this, and then, oh, that. So
I've seen that as well, actually. So thank you for confirming that. But yeah, I've seen that as well. Thank you. I love this. This podcast is turning out the reading for myself. I love it. Thank you, Tasha.
I tell everyone, Okay, so most of us, our gifts are the thing that we wish so badly someone could give us. That's how you know it's your gift. Have you ever sat there and be like, damn, I wish I could just find someone who could do this for me? It's because nobody can, because it's your thing. That's a
Oh,
gift is.
yeah. Yeah. Do you know, there was probably about 2 years ago, I created this psychic business mapping intensive. And I literally had this download. I wrote it all down. I still got a Word document, I think, somewhere. And I just sent it out to my email list at the time and had 2 people buying it. And it was just this thing where they scan the business, makes me think that I need to offer it, that it's something I shouldn't have parked. But it's, yeah. And I think I kind of just moved on. But yeah, I can really see that. I would love for you to share with us how, because obviously you said to me before we started the conversation that you've had some new exciting clients that you're working with, but I would love to know more about how you're bringing your psychic gifts and going into more of maybe famous or celebrity clients or other areas of clients, and how you're using your gifts there. Because I would love for this work to expand all over the world and everyone are using like psychic strategists. Do you know what I mean? That'd be so awesome. Tell me more about.
Okay, so as our spiritual gifts evolve, so people get stuck when they take their same gifts and they just keep reusing them. And that's necessary as you're sharpening them. But what happens is when we start to form a sense of boredom or stagnancy in one area, the reason why is because you're taking dead energy and you're just recycling it over and over. So when something is not working, that means you're no longer growing from it and it's time to pivot. So that's what I did. I did a major pivot into mainstream and into celebrity clientele. And I just knew that that was my new thing. And that was my new fresh energy to be going into. So, what was the question around that?
So well, A, how exciting, I'm intrigued. B was how can we help the world in this way? Because look, if we can influence people that have influence, I'm kind of thinking that as well, depending on who you're working with, of course, but that's a good thing for New Earth leadership, because I believe in the higher consciousness of people, right? So talk to
Yes.
me about
Okay. So how can we do it? You have to be able to prepare yourself for what comes with that, right? So when we're influencing more people, you're going to have more people disagreeing with you. You're going to have more, basically everything, the intensity of everything goes up, because it's one thing to have, let's say, for example, one person say a comment to you, and it's another thing to potentially have 5,000 people say that same comment. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
if you want to be able to step into having massive leadership, well, pull your fucking panties up, because there's the idea of it and then there's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And like I've been trained for a lifetime of this. Obviously, being as I am naturally a little bit polarizing. I am naturally a little bit more of like, I'm willing to take on the villain role. I really don't care if you dislike me. It's almost sometimes enjoy it, which is weird.
Yeah.
But you need to have that in you if you're going to make it.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be a fluffy fairy, I mean, that will get you so far, but better have some grit with you.
Yeah, you've got to have the grit. You've got to have the resilience, for sure. Absolutely.
Or the discipline to like not look. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't spend your life in the comment section.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, I find that with this work that we do, especially when we, like you said, the bigger we become, the more polarizing it will become, I feel, because we become more defined in what we do. So that's going to people hate us or love us. What I've found is, I think you maybe have found this as well. The more I stay in my own lane and allow like the energy to take me where I'm meant to be going, the easier it is to not get distracted then. because we can get distracted. So there's the discipline with that. How do you do it, and how do you recommend other people to do this? Because, you know,
Yeah, okay. So I call these distractions open channels. So this can happen even if it's not like haters. It can happen with clients too. Okay. So let's say you are spending your whole day talking to clients or doing engagement on social media or something like that. Every single person that you're talking to or starting to open up to, whether it be a comment left or an actual conversation, even if they're amazing conversations, opens a channel.
Yeah.
More channels you have open, the less you're centered. So you have to know how to close the channels and come back to your center.
Yes.
So, and too many open channels, what it does is it makes you feel like you're spinning out. So it makes your thoughts spin really fast and not go anywhere. It can also cause headaches, and it causes like a lot of overwhelm, overstimulation, and then that into burnout and exhaustion.
Yeah.
So number one, some actual tangible tips is like actually turning your phone off at a certain time. It is having full days off where you don't even do like an hour of work, like actual full days off. And another really cool way to close channels, or AKA those connections to annoyances, is almost imagine like tapping into God or the light. Okay. And then soften your body, like picture yourself softening your body, and that God has a magnet that's pulling all the blocks or black energy or anything you don't need out of your body.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So that's a cool way. And then the conversations you're having, like picture closing the door, or sometimes that takes physically saying something. So let's say you have a convo going on with a client and you respond and you're like, so I'm checking out for the night and I'll be back on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I say, I will, thank you for sending, I will respond to this on this time. And I've kind of closed it because I'm like, I'm not letting it hang. Yeah.
Because even though they might know you take the weekends off, I hate the feeling of like they're waiting on me. I really find that I don't like to do that to people.
Well, it feels also not clean. It's like
open.
the
Yes.
energy is still like going. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yes. One other really good tip, if we're having overwhelm or a lot of thoughts spinning in our mind, is almost picture, because the thoughts are undigested. They're just a whole bunch of like quarter thoughts spinning, like 72 of them at once. So picture taking those thoughts and like pulling them down your spine into your hips and then out your puss.
Oh, yeah. So like this way instead.
Just them down, digest them, but then push them out of your body.
Yeah.
And I've literally rid of headaches like that. Pull the energy down because it's like pounding in your head. Yeah. Or you can practice like pulling it down and out your heart, or pulling it down and out eggs.
Yeah. I mean, I love all this because look, I work with energy all the time and I visualize things, but it's always something new you can learn. And I just find that sensitive, many of my clients, like, they are sensitive and very creative and get overwhelmed, but still really on a mission. It's kind of this, it's this mixture that makes them overwhelmed and stressed and also burnt out and feel like they're failing sometimes. I think
overwhelm is a distraction.
Yeah.
It's literally just a distraction from whatever you don't want to look at.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes I get, like you said, that's really good what you said about the block, that sometimes the block is actually the reason they can't do something is because they can't feel it in the body. You have to kind of feel it in the body first.
AKA disc. Yeah.
Yeah. And also what you were saying there about when you don't want to look at something, that's the kind of what feels like a block. What I've found with many of my clients is that they don't mind doing all the wonderful things like the healings and the clearings and the motivation and the mindset and all the things, but when it comes to real business strategy, it can be really, they avoid it. And I always find it so interesting, and often it comes down to some sort of trauma or some sort of belief around themselves that they, whatever it is. But it's quite interesting how creatives and spirituals find this thing. What's your experience in this? Because I'd love to know your perspective, because you must be dealing with the same thing.
Yeah, I see it all the time. You know what's a really common one?
Go on.
Is truly to take off in their business. They are afraid that they'll like leave their husband behind because low key they kind of feel like they're settling, or no, they are. But I want to, it doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean your husband can't come along with. Like, a lot of these women are afraid to grow because they're also afraid to outgrow their husbands, because they're also on the edge of that already. And who are creating chaos or overwhelm in their lives, they do that as a distraction. Like, okay, let me keep myself really busy with work and family so I never have to feel alone in my bedroom with my man. Or so I have to truly look that I'm a little bit unsatisfied, because they're afraid that means a divorce, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah. It's a fear, isn't it, that it's going to crumble, and everything else comes with that, I suppose.
They're afraid to open the door and to leave behind, so they hold themselves back.
Yeah, that's, but just allow yourself to stay stuck. So, you know, it's in the comfort zone, really, if you want to call it something else. But yeah, no, that's a really good one. I actually have a couple of clients in that situation right now, where they even feel guilty for wanting more for themselves, you know, at times. And I think it comes back to this good girl, the programming, the conditioning as women, the whole, you know, the whole story where we come from, cultural maybe as well, right?
And is literally, it's kind of sort of real, but it's not. It's just a way for you to get out of saying what you actually want. It's kind of like, oh, I feel so guilty I didn't call you back. No, you don't. You just didn't want to call me back.
Yeah.
You don't feel that. You just did what you actually wanted, which was to not do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guilty cupcake. No, you don't, because you just wouldn't have eaten it. You just fact that you wanted to eat the cupcake, so you did.
Yeah. Yeah, like radical responsibility. What did you do?
Yeah,
exactly.
So let's say we're unhappy with our bodies and we're feeling a little fluffy. Again, let me keep myself busy with family and kids and work. Then I have an excuse that I'm working hard over here, and I don't have to just admit that I'm being lazy with my body or I'm neglecting my body.
Yeah. And you can just, this is an excuse. Well, I haven't had time to focus on that. Well, you choose not to make the time.
Yeah, we'll take an area that we feel really good in, and then we'll almost like over nurture it. Oh, I get to say I'm such a good mom because I'm busy with kids. And that gives me permission to like neglect my hotness. Because here's the other thing. I'm telling you, the hotter you feel, the more you will thrive. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why his body, not everybody's is like this. But if I feel hot and skinny, there is nothing I cannot accomplish. Tell you, some people have different things. Maybe it's like if I feel like I have my marriage is intact, I feel, unstoppable. I could literally have, if I have a good outfit on and I feel skinny, that's why my body's a top priority. I can have the shittiest day and still hair flip.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I feel that when we've healed our biggest baggages, whatever those are, the body, not just the body image, but like, the body hotness, if you like, then that's going to be so powerful, because what we're holding inside is also hot because we've healed it, right? And then the body on top. I mean, that's like amazing combination. I mean, I feel the same as you. If I didn't look after myself, I couldn't, I can't do much in my business if I don't feel good and I don't look good, because it feels like I am the business as well as not just my looks, but everything I am, my energy. So
I feel is happening I feel this for your clients specifically, is they may be really connected to soul, And that's a way to, as an excuse to disconnect from body, right? It's body, mind, soul. So
Yeah.
conversations need to be started to have with your body. Like, oh, body, I noticed that you're feeling a little frumpy today. Why? Like, you can literally talk to your fat.
Yeah.
So let's say feeling like your arm, you don't really like your arms. Like, okay, arms, what's your message for me? I'm feeling like my attention is being brought to you. What do you want to tell me? And then actually sit there and listen. Don't just like, oh, no, you didn't say, like, treat it like a relationship. If you were in a and you never ever talked to the person, and when you did ask them a question, you just didn't listen for the answer, how do you think that relationship would turn out?
Break down.
Exactly. It's going to resent you and gather fat. That's what it's going to do.
Yeah, because it's being neglected and ignored and it's sulking.
Fuck you. I'll put 10 here on your poo and you'll listen.
Oh yeah, so let's wrap this up with saying that if you want to create success in your life, business wise as well as in your personal life, we got to get the body in order and listen, have a loving relationship with your hot body, and open up its channel, psychic channel, and get the bad bitch in when she's needed.
Yeah. Like, let your mind be the third consult. So if your body, mind, and spirit are the three coaches inside of you, involve all of them instead of just the mind. Yeah,
you've got to be in all of them. That's a beautiful message. I think everyone can relate to it. And then it's about reminding ourselves every day about that so that we don't forget it. It's not just an intellectualized sort of piece of information. Thank you so much. So, as to round up for the interview and this amazing conversation, which has been really fulfilling, intriguing, and informative as well, and deep, where does people find you best at the moment? And is there anything you want to share that you're doing right now that you want people to know about?
Yes, well, look out for my book, which is going to come maybe in fall, somewhere around there, on spiritual hotness and becoming that. And then on my website, it's just tashawall.com. You'll be able to see all sorts of goodies that range from body and nutrition, men and sex, spiritual hotness, and then healing, like private healing sessions. So that's a good place to just go poke around.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And I'm so pleased and I feel so happy that you decided to join us. And thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening as well.
Hey, bye.
Bye.